everybody. We've had a very interesting evening so far, filled with so many inspiring stories and anecdotes and life experiences from people. We've seen so many role models our way. So this conversation is going to be about breaking barriers in the entertainment industry. And what does that mean? Breaking barriers. What are these women actually doing in the industry? It means that women are being role models. I have 4 of them sitting on the panel with me right here. It means that they are commanding more space, both on screen and off screen. It means that they are demanding equal pay, better roles, better working conditions. And it also means that they are acquiring the power to take the decisions that matter and a lot more. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. And I want to start with you, Ashwini. I really liked one point that you made earlier today about how it's necessary to have women in various aspects in the entertainment industry, in various roles, as actors, filmmakers, technicians, writers. And it's only then that the kind of stories that we see and the kind of movies that we make will be drastically different, and we'll see a whole new perspective. So do you think that the industry has started taking steps towards this? And if no, then what more needs to be done? And if yes, what's being done?
I feel there's a lot of change which have happened because women are demanding more from what they would like to achieve. Filmmaking and I think the entertainment industry as a profession was something which was a little non-legit profession, if I must say. But from the time there are professional colleges which teach mass media, which teach filmmaking as a course, right from the beginning, because then you have like class 11 and 12 students who are already using the camera or their phones to make films, to tell stories, to tell documentaries. And then you have colleges which are teaching filmmaking as a subject. That becomes legit. So then it becomes even more one step towards progression is because you have a middle-class family who's looking at their child and a girl and saying, okay, you can get into making films. The reason why I keep pushing myself to go to colleges and to keep talking to college students is because I just feel that somewhere amongst those 100 girls, there would be 2 who would say, hey, you know what, if she can do it, then I think I can also get into films. I can also tell stories which I would like to. Also, I feel it's very important to talk more about the area of filmmaking. It's just not about direction. It's just not about writing. There are a lot of other things which get involved in the whole aspect of filmmaking. Knowledge expression is very important. It is important for us to have more conversations on what filmmaking is all about, so that like you have career courses and that if there's engineering, you have like 5 subjects in that. Filmmaking also needs to have a career counseling. You need to make it as legit as possible so that you can have more stories. For me, it's very important to have girls coming from smaller towns to tell their stories, because the lives they have led, the experience they have had cannot be told by a person sitting somewhere in a city in the 4 walls of their house. So the first thing I always say is that please go, look, travel the country. Every 500 meters, every 1 hour, the language changes, the costumes changes, the grammar changes of houses, and even the way people behave change. So that is very important, yeah.
Right. And Kusha, my next question is to you. You've been part of 3 different facets of the entertainment industry. You've made your name initially in the content creator economy, and since then you've also been doing shows and films. How do the gender dynamics play out differently, say, in the content creator industry versus in the world of films and OTT?
Hi, everyone. If I speak strictly about content creation, I think the reason why a lot of the female creators and influencers did well is because there was dire need of female comedy and the female perspective. For a long time, a lot of male creators internationally and nationally existed. And while they were making great content, it wasn't for women to enjoy.
Right.
So I think when I look back in time, I look at a Malika Dua who really paved the way for us with Delhi humor. And in that space alone, what she was able to do, and at that time, single-handedly, there was nobody doing what she was doing at that time. Which paved the way for so many of us to be able to finally represent our mothers, our aunts, our relatives, and all the people we did through the course of our content creation. So just the existence of female comedy was required. Now for that to be more nuanced, for that to be better, for our writing to be better, it takes time. Like, I remember that when we started our characterizations of characters, like mom character or the bhua character or the masi character, they were extremely OTT. But it's with time and it's with feedback and it's with acclaim that we understand the responsibility that we have now and how we wish to represent them now. Another thing that happens with the internet and with funny women on the internet decides that women are not funny. Right. This is something they have decided themselves from times immemorial. So they believe that women are not funny, and if a woman is funny, they are very quick to point out, for a woman, you're very funny. So we're not only creating content, we are constantly fighting this. Yeah. If you see the top female comic of this country, and I'm saying the words female comic and I'm cringing at it because I don't need to say female comic, I can just say comic, but I'm saying it to put across my point. The top female comic of this country who sells shows on Book My Show, you will see the first comment there from a guy who will say, "Hasna tha kya? Hasna tha kya?" So it's almost like a thing that they have saved, that the moment a woman will create, this is the first comment we'll do. That's the dank side of the internet. Yeah. So I just feel that as a female creator, it's on us that if we've been in this industry for 7-8 years, we've got to take care of them. We've got to tell them, show them the way when they are being given this kind of feedback. And we need to constantly share their work so that everybody gets to know about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being there for each other, having each other's backs, I think really helps. And that point that you made, for a woman, you're really funny. I'm sure that as women, as working professionals, we've heard this in different contexts. For a woman, you're really smart. For a woman, you are so intelligent, etc., etc. So what is one very ridiculous or obnoxious comment that you've heard during the course of your career? This question is open to the panel. So what is one such obnoxious comment that you've heard during the course of your career?
I think for me it is you're too pushy.
You're too pushy.
Yeah. Because sometimes what happens is that I know that I'm always going to be the second choice. So it's important that you become the first choice. And to become the first choice, in spite of being talented, in spite of knowing that you know that pretty well, you will never be the first choice. So for me, it was like to prove a point and to say that, I am good at this and I know this is my work. I'm not asking for something which is not my forte. I'm asking for something which is completely my forte, and this is my work. It's just that I have not pushed it enough for you to know about it, because someone else may have pushed it and you know about him more. So it's important that you know about me too. So that becomes pushy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not pushy. That's asking for what you deserve.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that intention and that action towards equal collaboration is very important. That brings me to you, Amrita. I think you starred in one of the most loved short films last year, which was The Mirror, directed by Konkana Sen Sharma. If you haven't seen it already, I think you should. We spoke about how the vibe of positivity and collaboration that you had on that set, made you feel so secure and comfortable in what was a very challenging role. So you've been an actor for so many years now. You worked across industries, across languages. How common or how rare is it for women to find such roles or such working environments that are so empowering?
I would say things are changing, and things are changing for good. When I was younger, I was very, I keep talking about this Dipti Naval had once said that, she didn't want to do, like in our industry, after you cross 30, you're slotted, now you do mother's roles.
Yeah.
So there are different boxes. So I'm in a good way, I'm very ziddi. And there are we all are ziddi, I would say. What you were saying, pushy. Yeah. So in a good sense, I can see all my ziddi, friends here. So I was like, I'm not going to get myself, slotted like that. So what am I going to do? And then OTT happened. Then I was like, okay. Then Sacred Games came to me, and it was a male role first. In the novel, it is a male character, and it was changed into a female. And I was very happy ki, oh, she's a boss, and she's transformed into a female character. I was happy. Then Dhamaka came to me. It was a male character. It was transformed into a female character. And I was like, oh wow, the male character is. But धीरे-धीरे जिद भी ये होती गई कि now I don't want to have this, oh wow, a male character is getting transformed into a female and I'm getting good role. Yeah. Now I want characters to be, created just for me, which are originally for me. Not like, oh, aapko mil raha tha, mujhe mil gaya. So like, right. This is how, and then, of course, when I see a film like Neelbate Sannada, it's not like that, right? I mean, that character is so strong that it is not, so I'm not saying ki, yeah, but it was a beginning. Still, Sacred Games and Dhamaka, I would say, it was a beginning for a woman actor who has, post 30, who is not getting slotted in a mother's role. So still, I would say it was positive for me. But now when I look back, I'm like, no, I want more. And in good sense, I want more. And for that matter, as she was saying, I don't want to say ki woman-oriented. It should be just a good role. Yeah. It need not be a woman or man or whatever it is. Generally, there should be roles, and now that is happening. Women-centric OTT or films are also like, Crew is doing good, for example. Today, yesterday I saw Vidya's film, in which some such characters are coming on screen who are taking some such decisions, like, for example, she doesn't want to have a kid. I'm not saying there's anything wrong having a kid, but like, such characters are coming on screen and they are, coming in commercial space as well, now, these characters are written with a lot of nuances, I would say. So it's not only now getting transformed into this. And now coming back to your question, yes, the atmosphere also is becoming more and more free. And I would say I was fortunate that, I'm in this era where there's somebody like Ashwini, there is a Zoya Akhtar, there is a Konkana Sen Sharma, so women telling very powerful stories. Because for us actors, we need these creators. And that is why I'm so grateful that I'm in Times, so that, where powerful stories, women's stories are being told, and they are coming our way as characters. So that is making us making us feel very free, I would say. And now these slots are also getting broken, right? For example, when I did Gully Boy, it was not a mother's role. She was a mother because it was written by somebody called Zoya Akhtar and Rima. It was a mother who dared to say to her husband कि क्या तूने कभी सोचा था मुझे कैसे छूना है? It's such a powerful statement. She's saying that. So she becomes Razia. She doesn't become a mother. And so now I'm also happy that these slots are being broken. Like, for example, you mentioned love stories. So I was not playing a maid. Of course, she was a maid, but she was a maid who is trying to understand her sexuality. And she had a husband who asked her कि क्या तुझे मजा आता था? When she was watching you, were you enjoying that? And when she says yes, he's not hitting her or you're gandhi or whatever like that. He is accepting that, and she is accepting that, and then Tilu's character, of course, Ishita. So there are these women who are accepting something which was supposed to be taboo, and you're not supposed to do that. So I think things are definitely going freer and powerful, and more powerful.
Right. In fact, this reminds me of a social media trend that I had come across about men written by women. It's basically spoke about how a lot of male on-screen characters which are written or created by women, those characters are far more sensitive, far more nuanced, and even broad-minded. Like, for example, Pankaj Tripathi's character in Bareli Ki Barfi. So, Ashwini, I want to ask you, what is your thought on that? And conversely, how different is it when men write women characters?
I will have a little slight different point of view here, is because most of the scripts I have written are written with men. So I have like 3 men in my life who, one is my husband and the other 2 are my writers. And we all write together. And the beauty is that you spend about a year writing because you're really fighting all the time. You're fighting all the time for a good reason, is because they look from the male point of view and they write the script, and then I look from the female point of view and I'm saying, no, this cannot be like this. So that's a very good debate, is because in Bareli Ki Barfi, it was very clear. You had 2 male characters and 1 female character. And the male characters were very diverse. And then you had a father who was Pankaj Tripathi, who came from my experience that I wanted to see a change in the way a father and a daughter have a conversation. Because in our country, when you see a father and a daughter beyond an age, they don't even like hug each other. Yeah. They don't even have the hard conversations. I have seen that. And what I felt was that I wanted to have that conversation where when people sit in a theater, what are we as storytellers? We entertain, but at the same time, we aspire. We want to make sure that our stories are archival. We take insights from real life and we want to put it into screen in an entertaining way. And that's the kind of stories I want to say. When I felt I wanted to create the father-daughter relationship in a small town, there were 3 things which were in my mind, and it was very strategic. The 3 things were that anyone who comes to the theater, the girl needs to say, you know what, I love to have a father like this. Or she should say that, oh, my father's relationship of mine is the same. I can talk anything to my father. Or the father should say that I think I need to change my perspective with my daughter. Or I have a great relationship with my daughter, I need to make it better. Or the mother should say that, you need to be more, you need to know what's happening in your daughter's life. Yeah. So it was very strategic, this kind of story that you need to create. Because after that, when you have articles written on the insight of why this relationship works, or what are the different kind of father-daughter relationships, that's where I think I have passed as a storyteller, is because I want my stories to have conversations. I want things to be written about. When Bitty tells her father that, ladka banna it's like such a curse to be a boy, to be a girl. I wish I was a boy. And he says that, ये मैं नहीं मानता हूँ कि लड़की होना बुरा है. But समाज ऐसा बोलता है. And you stay in a society. You have to coexist in a society. So when you coexist in a society, you do whatever you want. I'm there to protect you. But you still need to be here. Right. So that's the relationship. Like, she's going on a bike and all he says is in this one sentence, ये किसके साथ आई हो? It's like कोई आया था मेरे को बाइक में, को लिफ्ट चाहिए था, आ गया वो. Then he only tells her one thing, that पैर दोनों एक साथ बैठ के नहीं बैठ सकती थी. Like, you have just come on a bike. Could you just put your 2 legs together and sit? Right. It's just a very simple thing. But he says it's okay. And that is what I think needs to be created.
Right.
It is about that no joke. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. I now want to steer the conversation towards something which I believe is at the crux of the decisions that go behind how films get made and what films get made, which is commerce, which is finance. And as a producer, Malvika, when you're taking a call or when you're taking a decision about the commercial viability of a project, to what extent does gender representation and inclusivity matter in the larger scheme of things?
Thank you. So, firstly, I want to, thank all the lovely women out here for inspiring us. And I can see so many stories bubbling from the awards that have, Ashwini, I think there needs to be a movie on you ASAP. Yeah. And maybe this Ashwini...
I already thought about it is because I just stay 5 minutes away from the freeway. And I was like, oh God, I've grown. Like, I've
Yeah.
been staying there for almost
But
25 years.
I'm seeing so many inspiring characters and stories right here in this room in the past half an hour. So just wanted to start off on that note. Thank you to Forbes for organizing this
And
lovely.
also, I must say that, हम रोज जाते हैं रोड पे, रोज गाली देते हैं. क्योंकि इतना सारा construction हो रहा है, क्या-क्या चीजें हो रही है. But honestly, today when I see your face, and when I see you and I know that you are the one behind this, which I didn't know till today, I swear on God, I'm not ever going to crib now. Yeah.
So, no, I also want to kind of point out that we're sitting in a very momentous occasion today because we've just had a film in our industry, Crew, which has become the highest grossing female-led film of all time in India.
Yes.
So it's very, sort of relevant that we're having this conversation. So yes, gender and inclusion plays a big part in our process when we're greenlighting films. I think these days, the audience has also evolved, right? So when you have a female character in a film who's a token character who's just, like we say, prancing around trees, nobody really accepts that anymore, or we hope that, that's evolving. So how characters are written, like Amrita said, from the very inception, when we're sitting with directors, when we're sitting with writers, when we're sitting in what we call our boardrooms and brainstorming what should we make next, there's a big focus as to what is the female character, what is she going to be doing. And of course, as we all know, there are about 8 to 10 male stars that still dominate our box office. So everybody says, "Kaun dekhne jayega?" Even if it's, your top stars like Deepika Padukone or Alia Bhatt frontlining movies, I think we're still not quite there yet in the film industry. For someone to say, okay, if Ranbir Kapoor can do 500 plus crores with Animal, why can't a Deepika Padukone movie do that?
Yeah.
So I think we're all striving towards that. And I know as we're speaking, actively there are, not only in our production house, but other producers actively thinking of stories like, why can't there be a big action-led spectacle film with female stars? So I think these conversations are happening every day. It's just about getting the business model right sometimes. And I think Crew has proven that it can happen. So we'll hopefully be seeing a lot more of that.
Right. And producers are taking more risks with more fresh content, more experimentative storytelling. But when it comes to, again, gender representation, are there still certain dilemmas that you do face as a producer?
Yeah, I think it's the whole, when we're talking about like the theatrical box office trends in India, right? If you go through all historical data, the highest grossing, like opening day female-led films, like people look at, the industry works on hard numbers. So people will look at, okay, a Gangubai did 10 crores opening day, so can we be spending 100 crores? It's a constant commerce equation because like OTT rights, TV rights, it's all based on what did those box office, benchmarks, what are they currently?
Yeah.
So those are the dilemmas. Like we all, I'm a female, we have 5 or 6, strong creative members in our team who are female, and we all want to tell female-driven stories, right? But it's often the commerce that holds us back.
Right.
Somewhere I think the OTT platforms have really helped to
Absolutely.
break that barrier.
Definitely.
Because sometimes you get scripts and you're looking, because I get so many, like it starts off like we have a female-oriented script.
Yeah.
But I want to read it, it's because it's nice to just read. But when you read, and there are 2 things which come into mind is one, what is going to be the budget of the film? Because the budget of the film is equally representing what is going to do the box office numbers.
Yeah.
Also, I feel somewhere what is put out in terms of, you can make all kinds of films, and it is important that all kinds of films are celebrated. For me, a film which is made for 15 with a woman leading but has a damn good story and makes 20 should be celebrated.
Absolutely.
Everything cannot be 50 plus, everything cannot be 100 plus. So I think that number has to be celebrated. What is happening right now is no one is understanding the ATL, BTL, and then we all are looking for 50 and
Correct.
60 and 100. But if you celebrate 15 to 20, that itself is a success. So that goes for the theatrical. the more important thing is that when you go to the OTT platforms, they are celebrating women-led films, which has become a mandate also at OTT platforms, especially at the very famous ones where they really like greenlighting women-led films and women who are part of the process.
Right.
So they have, correct me if I'm wrong, so they have a place which is a thing where you have to have female directors directing few films in the year. You have to have female storytellers. You have to have female cinematographers. So that's become a mandate. It's a mandate come from a corporate company. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. So my last few questions, which I want to throw open to the panel, starting with first and foremost, this is something that I've been asking as a journalist as well over the years, and it's also something that we've been talking about in the corporate sector as well. But when, in the entertainment industry specifically, when will we start paying women more equitably? And when's that going to happen?
When mindsets change and when there's no, like she said, like you don't have to say female comic. You should be not saying female actor. Like we're all the same. When everyone realizes that a female and a male will bring the same merit and talent to the table. You know, it's a very, I think.
You know, I have a point of view here is because Malvika and I have worked together.
Yeah.
We have made a film together. I don't have an issue there. And Malvika, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It's because as a storyteller, it's what I get onto the table. And you're as good as the kind of stories you're saying. So a success of a movie is not in your hands as a director. So you may be a damn good storyteller, but that day rain happens and there is something happened and people didn't go to the theater to watch your film. So that is a possibility, but that doesn't reduce your capability and your talent as a storyteller. So I have never faced that issue. I have been paid according to the kind of film you're going to be making.
Right.
So if it is a large-scale film, then my fees is according to the fees of the film. Is because if it is a large-scale film, which is being mounted with big actors and a big scale of production, then my remuneration is equally proportionate to that budget.
Yep.
But if I'm making a beautiful film where I feel that why should I take so much of money when I need to make that film and I need to see the light of the day? So that's a conversation. So I don't feel that I have been shortchanged there ever. And I'm very happy to say that. Also as writers, I don't think so we have been shortchanged ever.
Right.
We have always been paid for the kind of work we get. But it's always clear on what you're taking up. Sometimes you have big films you take up and sometimes you're taking up small films. So your remuneration will change accordingly to what you are putting out there and the amount of time you're going to be spending on it. So if I'm spending like 3 years on a film where I'm going to take 1 year to write and the other next 2 years going to make it, of course it's the same in terms of what I'm going to get paid. Yeah.
Right.
But I've never been shortchanged because of my gender. I can say that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I think
thing.
we're lucky. I'm lucky to be in a place where I've worked with Ronnie Screwvala, I've worked with Sid Roy Kapoor, I've worked with Malvika, I've worked with a whole lot of good producers who have never shortchanged me. Yeah.
Right. So, Kusha and Amrita, has this been your experience as well?
I feel like if you are being not paid your worth, if that scenario happens, I think you should just ask. I think a lot of people are not asking because they're thinking they're going to lose work. They're thinking they're going to be thought of as too much. They're thinking maybe this person will think that I'm tough to work with. If those are your reasons, you can always ask. I have always asked if I'm not being paid well. I was on a project where the women's blues were not great and I asked for it and that project shut down. So after a year, we worked again together. So there is no harm in asking. What's the worst that can happen, right? They'll probably say no. They'll probably say this is what you deserve. But if you think there is that little scope where you can ask, there's no harm in asking.
And for me, I think my relationship with money is changing, I would say. First, yeah, because I come from theater, I would be like, mujhe maza chahiye. But now I think, yeah, my managers would tell me, aapki market price badhni chahiye, you know, and then now I keep quiet and I want my market price to go higher and higher also. So, and I'm happy that it is going, that thing is also working for me. And I think that is also important. Now I'm becoming, like, I'm understanding the business of it also, as earlier it was only art, I would say.
Thank you so much. I think it's time, and thank you for being such a wonderful panelist and having such a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.